Hello friends and fellow VEDSies. Before I dive into the last episode of today's Doctor Who serial, I'm watching The Seeds of Doom, I wanted to talk to you about risk. So I just put up a blog post about the first episode of the Good for All podcast, An Innovation Mindset, and I was revisiting the episode and pulling out a few key quotes and highlights, and one of the things that Gord mentions briefly in the episode, but that I want to dive into a little deeper today, is that question of risk and what it has to do with a full life. So there's this problem in social services, which is that you are basically trying to provide people with the essentials to make sure that people are healthy and safe, that you offer a basic level of support. But how do you move beyond that to allow people to lead good and full lives? Trouble is, when you try to move beyond that basic level of support, which sometimes, time or finance doesn't allow, the additional problem you run into is one of risk, because you are on the hook. You're responsible. We spend a lot of our time preventing against bad outcomes, but what does that really mean for people's lives? I've been thinking about this because I'm watching Doctor Who, classic series. I'm on season 13, which stars Tom Baker as the Fourth Doctor and Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane Smith. And every now and then I'm watching an episode and I just think, God, Sarah, get back in the TARDIS. Just stay in the TARDIS. You'll be safe in the TARDIS. Which, for the most part is probably true. The TARDIS is pretty much the safest place you could be. But of course, if Sarah and the Doctor just stayed in the TARDIS all the time, that wouldn't make for a very interesting show, now would it? Going on an adventure with the Doctor is risky. You're going to encounter danger and hostile forces and things you couldn't possibly imagine. Leaving the TARDIS means that you are going to be scared a lot. But leaving the TARDIS also means you'll have opportunities to be brave, to be resourceful, to show your compassion for others. We are all comfortable with a different level of risk in our lives. When I first opened an investment account, they make you fill out this little questionnaire to sort of deduce what your risk comfort level is. And as my sister so beautifully summed it up, my questionnaire basically said I should open a savings account. But we have to allow some level of risk into our lives. I love roller coasters, but getting on a roller coaster, despite all the safety checks that they do, there's still some measure of risk. I value my friendships above just about everything else in my life, but letting people in and being vulnerable and caring about people means facing the risk that one day you may lose them. Stepping outside the TARDIS might mean that you get hypnotized or kidnapped or knocked unconscious, but it also means that you could have a hand in saving the world. Or at the very least, that you could help somebody. Just one person. You can't stay in the TARDIS all the time. There are adventures to have and worlds to save. And yes, it will be dangerous, but it will also be wonderful. And if you're lucky, if you're really lucky, then maybe you'll get to do this with a best friend. And it will be worth it, even if you risk losing them. Even if you do lose them. Good night, friends, humans, Time Lords. I'll see you tomorrow.